also be our keynote speaker. We have Professor Denise. Denise Miller is a professor in the economics department as well as the business and liberal arts honors program here at Queens College, where she teaches oral communications in the workplace. Professor Miller's expertise lie in how individuals present themselves and started her own company, Image Builders, for professional coaching, training, personal branding, and presentation. Professor Miller is a skilled public speaker and instills a sense of confidence in all of her students to ensure they are successful communicators as well. Her welcoming and engaging personality inspires and motivates students to succeed and have fun at the same time. When walking through Honors Hall, it's easy to notice that many students and teachers alike flock to Professor Miller for a simple conversation. She always has something interesting and exciting to say. Beyond the classroom, Professor Miller volunteers at her church, something she takes great pride in. Professor Miller's contributions to student academic achievement, scholarship, and service make us proud to recognize her here tonight as an honorary member of the board. I would like to now introduce our keynote speaker once again, Professor Miller. She will be addressing us.
Thank you so much. For my students who are here, for the record, I'm nervous. And also for the record, I did what I tell you all not to do. I had 2 huge cookies before I started to speak. So if I start running up and down, you'll understand I'm having a sugar rush. Chapter officers. Chapter officers, fellow new members, fellow honorees, faculty, family, friends, and last but not least, advisors. Thank you for this opportunity. When Jacob approached me about doing this, I was so excited. I really felt like a little girl who had just gotten her first black dress. There's one little cutie in the front row. She's so adorable. You're gonna come up and let them see your dress later, won't you? Will you do that for me? No, she's like, no way. Golden Key is a great opportunity. One of the things that I really am very, very excited about is the fact that the Golden Key does stress not only academic excellence and leadership, but that it also stresses service. So often in the society that we're in now, we think about the economics, we think about being in charge, but we forget about service. And so tonight, we're going to spend a few minutes and we're going to talk about something that we all need to think about. My topic is servant leadership. And we're going to start by just running through a group of pictures that I found. Now this happens to be one of my very favorite movies, Made in Manhattan. It's kind of Horatio Alger, but a female. I'd like you all to stop and think about, as I run through the pictures, what these people do, whether they're leaders or whether they're servants. Now, we know that these are obviously servants. These construction workers are also servants. Barbie is in charge. She's come a long way, baby. We have Jeeves the butler. We know that he's also a servant. Telephone customer service reps, we all talk to them at least once a day, sometimes several times, depending on what's going wrong with whatever electronics you own. Then there's a chauffeur, a dying breed. Mayor Bloomberg is trying to get us all on the subway, so he doesn't use his chauffeur anymore. So if anyone needs one, there's a chauffeur for hire. And the boss, but not Springsteen. Cashiers, we all encounter them every day. Our municipal executive. Hospital workers, doctors, nurses, phlebotomists, technologists, all the people that we run into, a dog walker. And actually, they make some pretty serious money. I was amazed at how much money we could make walking dogs. If I only liked dogs, if they could walk cats, I would do that. Our Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. And finally, a street cleaner. Now, these people all have one thing in common, if they're really good at what they do. And the one thing that they all have in common is the fact that they should all be servants. Even the chief executives among them. One last group, New York's finest, and we do consider them servants in our society. They serve us in so many ways. They keep peace, they help us when we're in trouble. They've delivered a baby here and there. They pull people out of burning buildings before the fire department can get there. What would we do without them? Now, leadership is an important pillar, and I'd like to talk about it. And there are a few handouts scattered through the audience, so if any of you would like to take notes, there is a place for you to take notes. Leadership involves, and there are two words that we're going to use continually through this presentation. One is price, and the other is lazy. Leadership is, being a leader is a very, very, very pricey enterprise. It costs a lot. Leadership involves setting the pace or standard. It involves modeling roles and tasks. It involves influencing stakeholders. Stakeholders is anybody that's involved with the organization. Not just the employees, not just the customers, not just the recipients of the organization's service. Leadership also involves controlling operations. A leader who does not have control has an organization that tanks pretty quickly. And then finally, leadership involves executing the organization's mission and vision. And leadership characteristics must include listening to everyone. It must include wanting to advance the cause of the organization. It must include seeing beyond the obvious. So often there are things that we need to see. And so it involves seeing beyond the obvious. It also involves demanding excellence of yourself and of your employees. Excellence must be your passion if you're going to be a leader. And then finally, leaders recognize and reward. The really great leaders among us are people who recognize when things are done well and they reward those things. That's very, very important. John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. For those of you members of Golden Key and those of you family members who would really like to read some great down-to-earth books, John Maxwell tells us that true leadership must be for the benefit of the followers. The followers, not to enrich the leader. If you're a leader because all you want to be is in charge, you will not be a good leader. So those of you who are being inducted today, remember that. Being a leader is much more than being in charge. So, servant leadership, is it crazy or is it counterintuitive? A servant is one who serves others. A servant performs duties for a personal employer. Generally, we think of a servant as someone who keeps a house or who is a nanny or something of that nature. But some of the synonyms for the word serve are give, tend, care for, help, put into play, as in tennis, when you put a ball into play, when you serve the ball. I don't play tennis, I watch tennis though. A leader is one who has commanding authority, someone who has influence. And synonyms include heading up things, directing, and governing. Well, is it crazy? Can one both serve and lead? Doesn't it make people divided and confused? And How can a leader be in charge and make the hard calls or show empathy and sympathy? That's very, very confusing. But the counterintuitive part of leadership is this. Serving people gives a leader perspective. You get to see the whole organization. You get to reflect and restore in that organization, and you have influence. Serving your people as a leader makes you consistent, and it gives you the edge because you're hearing from them all of the time. Serving people, the people who report to you as a leader, results in loyalty. Have any of you ever had like a really good boss?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah. And tell me about that boss. Now, was that boss not someone who really looked out for you? They did things. I'll never forget one of my bosses. I had a surgery, and I got home from the hospital, and there was this big bouquet of flowers, pink flowers, which happens to be one of my favorite colors, in a pink vase. Not a big deal, but to me it was a big deal that she even thought about that. She had an organization to run, but that led to loyalty. I haven't worked there for years, and she and I are still friends, and there's not a lot that I wouldn't do for her. Acceptance of authority. When you serve your people, they accept your authority. Sagacity or wisdom. You get wisdom from your people when you serve them because they tell you things, they allow you to see things in a new way. And then what I call EQ'd. Endurance, energy, and empowerment. When you serve people, you do get endurance and energy. It's something about serving people that gives you energy and you empower them. And then finally, respect for your followers, because when you serve people, you get to look at where they come from. You get to look at what's going on with them, and it gives you a whole new respect for why they are the way that they are. And then finally, the respect of your followers, because don't we respect the people who serve us? When people go out of their way to be helpful, we respect them. And finally, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Max Dupree, who was a businessman and who was a very popular leadership author. And he says that the first responsibility of a leader is to define the reality of an organization. And the last is to say thank you for the people who are doing the work. And in between, the leader is a servant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Miller. That was really great.